Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om, I bow to the Lord Vasudeva. Joy to you, friends. We've been talking about the battle between the ego and the soul, the war of Kurukshetra, the battlefield where the soul and the ego fight it out at close quarters. That battlefield is not something outside, it's in the spine. And you find some energy trying to bring you upward and other energies trying to bring you downward. And that battle must be resolved. This is the great error that Freud made. He thought, well, there are no higher aspirations to work for. It's all your own delusions. What you really are is a sexual being. Therefore, the more you give in to that, the happier you will be, the more self-integrated you will be. It didn't work, did it? Those who go through Freudian analysis go through it for years and years. And I've never yet met a saint to come out of psychoanalysis. You will not become freed that way. You will become freed when you ask God and His grace to change you. This is why why Dronacharya, the preceptor, the guru, or teacher of the Pandavas and the Kauravas, sides with the Kauravas, with the downward pulling side in the battle. But the tendency to rise, we have some of that brought over from the past, a wish to seek higher values. But what really gives us the power to rise is never from ourselves. It's only the grace of God. No one can free you but God. You must understand that the more you look upward, the more He brings His energy down to lift you up. This was the aspect of things that Freud was incapable of understanding. There is a superconsciousness in our selves, subconscious, conscious, and superconscious. And he threw them all together into a big bin of subconsciousness, but it doesn't work. The superconscious is the source of higher inspiration, all the source of genius. Genius doesn't mean that you're more intelligent than others. People speak of people as having a genius IQ. Well, the Mensa, those people who are the highest 2% in the IQ range, many of them are barbers, ditch diggers, maybe not ditch diggers, but very ordinary human beings. It takes much more than an ability to be clever. Genius means to be inspired. In fact, the word genie comes from that thought too, from that same etymological base. When you feel inspired by God, then you can do works of genius. You can't produce them out of your own little brain. Well, the battle there is drawn, and the two forces are against one another. And those avatars who come down to help people, they usually get persecuted in one way or another. But Jesus said it this way too, that all those who seek God, all those who renounce father and mother and brother and sister and family and everything for my sake and the Gospel's, receive 100-fold, because your satisfaction is much greater than that of most people. But he said, and persecution. And the truth is that if you find these things, you will be persecuted. You have to fight. You cannot just say, somebody the other day was weeping to me, saying, all I want is peace. Why do I have to have people persecuting me and trying to pull me down to their level and so on? Well, poor girl, she just have to learn that this life is a battle. And if you want peace, you will usually give up the battle. You've got to realize that to be a true devotee of God means to be a warrior, to war against your own lower nature, to war against any influence that would pull you in another direction than that. And so it is that people, there's a beautiful passage in Autobiography of a Yogi. Beautiful may not be the right word, but somebody who He says reason had forsaken him in an argument, and he was confronted with spiritual truths. Reason had forsaken him, but he could still shout. And so it is that people, when they can't any longer find good reasons to support their delusion, they will shout. They will even try to kill you or persecute you. You just have to accept that this is a part of the game. If you want to help people, some people will be very grateful. Other people will pull you down. I'm aware that that will happen to me, has happened to me, is going to continue to happen to me. Fortunately, it doesn't matter. If you want to kill me, that's fine by me, because I know that the only thing that is life anyway is God's joy. Without that, Jesus said, let the dead bury their dead. And this world, if you look at people a little closely, I was looking at a novel that I happened to find on my shelf, and I threw it away. But it was full of dead people. I don't mean they were literally corpses. I mean that their values were dead. Their interests in life were dead. Their understanding of people and things was dead. They had no life in them. There was no joy. There was no sense of the wonder of things. There was only a sense of, yep, gotta work, yep, gotta eat, yep, gotta make love, yep, gotta do this. It was absolutely pathetic. I had to throw the book out. I was sort of reading through it like this, and absolute bilge. But this is what the world loves, because to them, that's the way things are. What's the argument? That's just people, that's just life. But it isn't, it's death. Don't you see that until you have God's joy, you don't have life? Jesus said, I came that you might have life and have it more abundantly. And if I quote Jesus so much, it's because I grew up with his teaching, and therefore I know it better than other teachings. But the truth is truth everywhere. You can't say that any particular expression of it is the only expression of it. All great teachers of God, all great souls who knew God, they all say the same thing. We must get out of this ocean of suffering and misery, ocean of delusion, and understand that we are little children of God, and that the only thing worth having is his love, his kindness, his forgiveness. The spiritual path is so simple when you understand these truths. God himself is not a stern judge. He wants to bring you to him. He wants you to love him and to understand, but he wants you to do it not because the truth has been forced upon you, but because you've had the discrimination and the intelligence and the discernment to know what it's really all about. And this, unfortunately, does take time. Well, I'd like to make that time as short as possible for you. Therefore, these talks. Joy to you.